مجد يا مجد.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الصلاة والسلام على أشرف خلق الله وإمام المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أبنائي الطلاب، بناتي الطالبات، الأمهات الأكارم، الآباء الأكارم، يسعدني ويشرفني أن نستأنف منقطع من حديث عن الحصص المدرسية. كان في الحصص الماضية تكلمنا عن جزئية مهمة جدا بالنسبة للكلمات بتاعت اللغة الإنجليزية، وتناولنا فيها الفعل وعرفنا كل القواعد الخاصة بالفعل، وعملنا بعد ذاك تدريبات أو شغل عملي بالنسبة للقواعد الخاصة بالفعل. الليلة إن شاء الله تعالى حنبدأ مع كلمة جديدة من الكلمات بتاعت اللغة الإنجليزية which is going to be the adjective. The adjective. The most important thing for me, I have to know what is an adjective. And as you know that from the beginning of our course of our work, we make definition for sentence, and we said sentence is a group of words that are arranged to give a full understanding, to give meaning, and to give the most important thing. And as I asked, what are the words of English? And I said that the words of English have to be one of 7. From one of the words of English, we mentioned the adjective or an adjective. Here, we are going to begin a new rules related for a new word in English language, and this is, we call it the adjective. The most important thing here, we have to define an adjective. And as you see in the part, an adjective is a word. An adjective is a word. What about it? Describes a noun and gives more information about it. An adjective is a word, describes a noun, and gives more information about it. This means that an adjective related for a noun. The question is that how many types of adjective in English? In English, there are 4 types of adjective. There are 4 types of adjective. The first one, we call it demonstrative adjective. The second one, we call it interrogative adjective. The third one, we call it adjective of quantity. The fourth one, we call it adjective of quality. The adjective of quality. For these 3 adjectives, types of adjectives, the first one, the second one, and the third one, we are going to have them together in this lesson. For adjective of quality, and this is the most important one of them, and we are going to have it in a coming lesson. Okay, let us to see demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjective. Demonstrative adjective, we can introduce it through these adjectives. This is used for singular, and when I want to use plural, in case of this, the plural have to be these. That is used for singular. When I want to use plural, the plural of that is those. This can be used for something that exists or in front of our eyes. That it can be used for something that far from us or absent. Yes. This is used for plural. It can be used for something that in front of our eyes, and those is going to be used for something that from our is going to use for plural of things that far from our eyes or absent. Let us see these examples. For example, this boy is good. Here we talk about, as you see, boy is the noun, and this is our adjective. The type of adjective is demonstrative adjective. The type of adjective is demonstrative adjective. As you see, the adjective has to be preceded for the noun. The adjective have to be preceded for the noun. And as you see, here, demonstrative adjective is going to be follows for the noun which is going to describe. Here, as you see, boy is singular. Boy is singular. According to it, the demonstrative adjective I have to use with this, in this case, it is this boy, this boy. But when the noun became, or when the noun become plural, we use these. This boy is good. Here, good, we are going to have it in a coming lesson. These boys are good. As you see, these boys are good. Here, it means we are talking about a boy exists, or a boy that in front of our eyes or near to us. But when we have something like this, that girl is clever. This means that I have to point to the girl. That girl. That, as you see, that girl. Girl is singular, and according to it, the related adjective here, demonstrative adjective, have to be that. When the noun become plural, we use the demonstrative adjective those. And as you see, those girls are clever. This means that we can talk about something that absent, not in front of our eyes, and we can use this to demonstrative adjective. That for singular, and those for plural. This is what we have about demonstrative adjective. Here, we are going to continue, and as you see, interrogative adjective. Interrogative adjective is used to ask about a noun. Is used to ask about a noun by using which or whose. And as you see in the example, which pen is yours? Says that there are many pens here, and you ask someone about his pen or someone about her pen. Which pen is yours? Is someone in front of your eyes, and you ask him which pen is yours. As you see, we have at the end of the sentence question mark. Why? Because this adjective here is have to be for questioning. To ask type. Whose pen is this? As you see, whose pen is this? The adjective is going to follow the noun which we are going to ask about. Whose pen is this? Which color you prefer? Which color you prefer? For example, whose house is that? Whose house is that? Say that you see a beautiful house or nice house, and you ask about it. Whose house is that? Here, there is someone with you, or is someone is going to answer a question according to answer the question according to what you have here about the things that you ask about. To continue, we have adjective of quantity. To know something about adjective of quantity, this means that we have to know more about nouns. We have to know more about nouns. And there are two types of nouns according to numbering. The first one we call it countable nouns. The second one we call it uncountable nouns. For countable nouns, the things that we can count, anything that we can count, we call it countable. For example, desk, you can count it. Chair, you can count it. Man, you can count it. Woman, girl, board, and so on. All of them we call them countable nouns. There are some things that we can't count, and we call them uncountable nouns. Uncountable nouns, for example, water, milk, salt, earth, sugar, and etc. type. For the adjectives that we are going to use with countable nouns, we have to use many. For example, how many brothers have you got? Here, it's a question with how many brothers. And as you will see, the noun which comes after many or few or a few of a great number have to be plural. How many brothers? I have got, for example, 2 brothers. How many sisters? I have got 2 sisters. How many pens have you got? How many chairs have you got? How many students in this class? How many students in this school? And so on. Here, many have to be used for countable nouns. But when we have uncountable noun, we have to use with much. How much sugar would you like? How much water would you me to give you? Would you want me to give you? For example, give me much water. Give me little water. Give me a little water, for example. As you see, here we have a few, a great deal of, a great number, a great deal of. This is, we call them adjective of quantity. Adjective of quantity. And remember that when we are going to use them, you have to, with countable nouns, we have to use many or few, a great number, and etc. With uncountable nouns, we have to use much, little, a great deal of, and so on. Here we have, for example, some and any. Both of them are adjective of quantity. But the difference between some and any is that some is used for countable and uncountable. For countable nouns or uncountable nouns. Any is used for countable nouns or uncountable nouns. They have the same use. The difference is that some is used for affirmative forms of sentences. For affirmative forms of sentences. For negative form or interrogative form, we have to use any. For example, as you see in the example, there are some men out. Some men. This is, there is, for example, there is some water in that pot. There is some water in that pot, as you see. There is any, there is any man out. This is a question. There, the negative form here. there isn't any man out. This is negative form. There isn't any man out. For a question, is there any man out? Is there any man out? It is clear. There isn't any otter in that boat. Is there any otter in that boat? Very clear. Remember that when I'm going to use some, this means that I have to use it in affirmative form. I have to use it in affirmative form. When I'm going to use any, as you see in these examples, we have to use them with in interrogative form or in negative form. This is most important things that you have to put in your mind. Here, as you see, the adjective, we have three types of adjective. Three types of adjective. Demonstrative adjective, interrogative adjective, adjective of quantity, and adjective of quality. This is by itself. We are going to have it in a lesson by itself. Demonstrative adjective. The most important thing that you have to put in your mind. Here, the adjective have to follow the noun which is described in singular or in plural. In singular or in plural. And demonstrative adjective, we have this for singular. And you have to remember the helping verb which comes after the adjective, and the noun have to be singular when we use this or that. But when we use these or those, the helping verb have to be according to what we have here, the plural. And you see in the example, this boy is good. These boys are. These boys are. That girl is clever. Those girls are clever. Those girls are clever. See the different. See the different. When we have something like this, you can have some exercise related for this matter. Interrogative adjective, we can introduce it in two ways. The first one, we use about something that unreasonable. Here, we use about something unreasonable but related for some person. Related for some person. For example, which pen is your? Here we ask about the pen. Which pen is your? Whose pen is this? Here, as you see, the pen is related for someone. We ask about someone, and this one here, he has a pen. Do you see? Whose pen is this? Which color you prefer? Which color you prefer? As you see here. Whose house is that? Whose house is that? And remember, for interrogative adjective, the sentence have to be a question. Have to be a question. And the most important thing that you have to put in your mind when you are going to use the interrogative adjective, this means that you are asking about something. Okay? To continue, we have here adjective of quantity. We have adjective of quantity. And you have to remember the adjective preceded for the noun. The adjective preceded for the noun. And according to numbering, there are two types of nouns. According to numbering, there are two types of nouns. The first one, we call it countable noun. The second one, we call it uncountable noun. For countable noun, we use many, few, a few, a great number. For uncountable nouns, we have to use much, little, a great deal of, as you see. Here, this means that when you are going to use an adjective of quantity, you have to know, or you have to have background about the nouns. Some and any. This is adjective can be used with countable nouns and uncountable nouns. But the difference between them is that some is used for affirmative form of sentences. Any is used for negative forms and interrogative forms. There are some men out. There is some water in that pot, for example. There isn't any man out. Is there any man out? There isn't any water in that pot. Is there any water in that pot? Here, the most important thing, and when we are going to use the adjective of demonstrative adjective or adjective of quantity or interrogative adjective, this means that we are going to use them in our daily life. In our daily life, when we are going to make conversation or dialogue between someone, when we talk to someone. And this is the most important thing. You have to know how to use an adjective, and you have to remember the adjective is follows for the noun, which is going to give more information about it or is going to describe it. The most important thing for the demonstrative adjective is that with demonstrative adjective, when the noun is plural, we have to use this or that. When the noun is singular, we have to use this. Until here, we have idea about demonstrative adjective, interrogative adjective, adjective of quantity. For adjective of quality, this is the most important of them. Why? Because we find it in all the sentences at English language. You can find adjective of quality. Why? Because it's going to make qualification for persons, for things, for nouns, for all the things that we have, or all the nouns that in front of our eyes. Because it is very important, we are going to have it in the coming lesson. Until here, I have to stop here to continue later. اللهم صل وسلم على حبيب الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. إلى هنا نجيف إن شاء الله تعالى على ومض إنه نواصل الحصة الجاية مع the adjective of quality. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.